My hometown, Buffalo Bills, just fell 22-19 to the Houston Texans. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Big Discussion Sports. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Um, please like the video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. That was our Buffalo Bills fight song. Um, that song does make you want to get up and dance, whenever you hear it. Um, I grew up with that song, and I tell everybody that I, my 4 years in high school, I'm going to date myself here, but my 4 years in high school coincided with each of the Buffalo Bills' 4 trips to the Super Bowl. So, my freshman year, it was Super Bowl 25 in Tampa against the New York Giants. My sophomore year was Super Bowl 26 in Minneapolis against the Washington Redskins. Super Bowl 27 was against Jimmy Johnson's Dallas Cowboys out in Pasadena. And then Super Bowl 28 was once again against Jimmy Johnson's Dallas Cowboys, this time in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And so for most of my childhood, as one of my mother's friends used to passionately say, the Bills stunk for most of my childhood. And then I grew up in an era after O.J. Simpson and the Electric Company, and the Bills had a little glory era in the early 70s, or maybe the mid 70s, when they drafted O.J. out of USC, and they had this offensive line called the Electric Company. And then in the 80s, just like the city of Buffalo itself, it went through this little lull. And then in middle school, or in elementary school, they started drafting Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed and Kent Hall and Bruce Smith and Darryl Talley and Cornelius Biscuit Bennett and Mark Kelso and Ray Bentley and that whole Darryl Talley, that whole lineup of players, and they had to learn how to play together. And they went through a stage where they were called the Bickering Bills. And then, right around 8th grade for me, and then in my freshman year of high school, they coalesced under Marv Levy and general manager Bill Polian and our owner at the time, Ralph Wilson, and they became the team to beat in the AFC. And they sat atop that perch for about 4 years. And then I think one of the things that I'll discuss on this channel in multiple sports is that most teams have a window with which they're really good, with which they're dominating their league, and for whatever reason that window eventually closes. Maybe other teams catch up, maybe other teams rise up and are greater, maybe that given team who was on top for so long just gets old, and maybe it just breaks up for any number of reasons. Could be free agency, could be bad chemistry, could be anything. But that basically happened to the Buffalo Bills the Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Bruce Smith, Marv Levy, Buffalo Bills. They had their window where they had the opportunity to win those Super Bowls, and then the team eventually broke up, got hurt, got old, and then there was, at least 20 years of mediocrity from the mid 1990s until recently. I think they got into the playoffs with that whole Rob Johnson, Doug Flutie thing in the late 90s, and they lost to the Tennessee Titans in the Music City Miracle. But after that, it's just been mediocre year after mediocre year after mediocre year, where they drafted in a mediocre way and where they couldn't find a franchise quarterback. And then in the in the second decade of this millennium, a little something started to happen. Where the defense got competitive, and then the question became, the quarterback. I think the quarterback was the big thing, and so I think the Bills drafted E.J. Manuel, and this was after J.P. Lossman and Rob Johnson and those guys, but they drafted E.J. Manuel. He didn't pan out too well, and then they had some other guys in there, I can't think who came directly after E.J. Manuel, but eventually Rex Ryan took over the team. He wanted to build a bully. And then they brought in Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor, while he was a serviceable game manager, he wasn't an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson type of quarterback who was going to lift your team to the next level. But he was serviceable, and he was good enough to not turn the ball over, but I don't think he was good enough to take the team to that next level, to the point where they were a force to be reckoned with offensively. And one of my buddies, I'm going to shout him out, Aline Gaines, was very critical of Tyrod Taylor. So, a lot of athletic ability, decent arm, could manage the game, but wasn't the guy to take the Bills to that next tier, to where they could regularly compete with the Patriots and the other top tier NFL teams. But one other thing before I get to this playoff loss to the Texans is that Buffalo has long had a reputation for being a segregated, racist city. And my uncle used to say that, my grandfather used to say that Buffalo was more Jim Crow than the South. I don't know if that's going to offend anyone, but again, these people were alive during the Civil Rights era and, the Great Migration and those things. So what's interesting is that it's a big deal. It was a big deal for Buffalo to have that series of black quarterbacks. So a lot of people, even though his play wasn't stellar, a lot of people really wanted to see Tyrod Taylor survive and stay around and get the Bills over the hump. In any case, eventually Rex Ryan got fired. Our ownership turned over to the Pagulas, and Sean McDermott was hired, and they drafted Josh Allen. And I can't lie and say that I know everything about Josh Allen. I think he went to Clemson. Let me look it up really quickly. Hold on. See how quickly I can do this. Josh Allen, football quarterback. Josh Allen went to the University of Wyoming. But I think the Bills drafted Josh Allen because of his measurables. Wyoming isn't in one of the Power 5 conferences, but in terms of his measurables, I think the Bills were looking to capitalize on that. He's 6'5", and right now he's 238 pounds. But they probably looked at him and said, okay, this guy's got the measurables. He's tall, he can throw, he's athletic, and he can run. And I've seen him. I haven't watched every Bills game, but Josh Allen can run. So most of my analysis of the game involves Josh Allen. I think the defense has been the mainstay of the team for most of the year. So the question was always, what could the offense do, and what would the offense do? And most of the times that I've seen Josh Allen play this year, he's looked kind of. You could see the potential there in terms of his arm and in terms of his running ability, but he looked kind of erratic, in that he hadn't quite settled into confidently playing the position for our team. And that's a lot of what I saw tonight down in Houston against the Texans. And I watched. I went over to the MGM, the tap room over at the MGM Casino in National Harbor over in Prince George's County, Maryland, to watch the game. I was the only Bills fan in there, and I missed the first quarter. And the Bills scored, went up 7-zip. And my friend Aleem Gaines, shout out to Aleem once again, texted and said, "Oh, the Bills scored." And when I saw the replay, it turns out that they ran a version of the Transcontinental. And when I was at Michigan and Lloyd Carr was the head coach, that was one of their favorite gadget plays, where the quarterback snaps the ball, throws a lateral to the wide receiver or the running back, and then the quarterback runs out, and then the back throws the pass to the quarterback, and he runs for yardage, and Josh Allen was able to score on that play. And then the rest of the game, the Bills' offense kind of sputtered along, got a couple of field goals, and the defense once again was able to hold the Texans until they were able to break free and make some plays later on. Deshaun Watson didn't look good for most of the game, but he was able to break free and make some plays late and get some throws late. And the game went into overtime. And once again, Josh Allen, he got out and he was able to run on one play, but he made a very mysterious play where all he had to do was just go down, but he tried to make a lateral pitch to one of his wide receivers, which got fumbled out of bounds, and I think the Bills got a penalty on that, and that pushed our offense back, and the team basically was unable to recover after that. And I think the Texans, our defense, had a clear shot at Deshaun Watson, but they missed the tackle, and he got the throw off, and I think that the Texans went ahead for a touchdown or a field goal at that point. So the game was right there, but if the offense had just been a little bit better, I think that the Bills would have pulled the game out. So for next year, assuming most of that group comes back, they should have a better year next year. Who knows if this is it for the Patriots, who knows if Brady walks away at the end of this year or if Belichick retires. Who knows? But the Bills, if they keep that defense intact, and if Allen is able to grow from this, and they're able to get some more skill position players, particularly some more height, I think my friend Aleem said is what the team needs: some more height on the outside, some more speed on the outside, and another back in the backfield for Allen to hand off to. Those should shore up the offense and make them a much better unit. But I wasn't surprised by what I saw tonight. The Bills have kind of played that way the entire season, for them to make the playoffs was a big deal. They do appear to have some level of proficiency, but when you go on the road against an opponent like that with a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, who coincidentally the Bills passed over for Josh Allen. My friend Aline keeps pointing that out. When you go on the road like that in the playoffs, you have to play a stellar game in all three phases of the game. So let me know what you think in the description box below. Remember, please like the video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Go Bills, and always remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.